This project all started while I was just browsing Labor Day sales. You'd be really surprised as the deals you can find on various holidays, Labor Day being one of them. I've become accustomed to actually kind of spending about an hour just kind of going through the different websites to see what's available. I've been on the lookout for a Capri Orange Stratocaster body for a while, but used Fender models rarely come onto the market. It's a really desired color, and Fender just doesn't make a lot of them. I purchased one from MJT, but it was aged heavily, and it wasn't exactly what I wanted for a project. Then I saw that AE had a closeout sale, and they actually had a Capri Orange Strat body made of alder, and surprisingly, it was in hardtail configuration. I hadn't really considered a hardtail project, but after thinking some about it, I knew this would make for a really cool build for the channel, and I was kind of excited about it. It was a really great deal. It was $36 off the retail price, bringing it down to just $84 for the body. I also selected the option to have them handpick a lighter weight body, which was only another $10. With free shipping, the total with tax was only $102. This project definitely morphed multiple times, but I'm kind of glad that it did because I think the outcomes kind of supported the overall journey. The body itself is a very nice, lightweight Capri Orange Stratocaster body. I didn't need it to do anything to it other than drill a hole, basically a pathway for the bridge to ground. I started out with a loaded pickguard that I had picked up from a Fender American vintage to 1965 Stratocaster that someone had, pulled the pickguard off of with everything with it. It sounds excellent. I had installed it on a guitar just to try it out. It had a white pickguard, which looked okay with this body, but then I saw a project online where someone had used a black pickguard with an orange Capri body, and it was exactly the look I wanted. I dug around in my boxes of pickguards, and yes, I actually do have boxes of pickguards, and found a single black one, but it was with an HSS configuration, basically a humbucker in the bridge. I really had to think about it a little bit about whether I really wanted a humbucker in the bridge in this project. This is kind of where this project was kind of a journey and just kept on changing as I moved along, but I decided to go for it. I found a black Seymour Duncan SH-4 JB model pickup in my humbucker pickup stash, and yes, I do have a humbucker pickup stash. These are an Alnico 5 pickup that has been a top seller for Seymour Duncan for a very long time. I think it's like something like 30 years. My pickup was a braided 2-wire version, so as a result, I didn't really plan on anything special in the wiring like coil splitting. I didn't really want to modify the American Vintage 265 loaded pickguard, so I set it aside. Instead, I found that I had a loaded pickguard for a Player 2 guitar that was in a single coil pickup configuration. Say that 3 times fast. I transferred the electronics and pickups to the black pickguard. I'd already installed the humbucker, so I just cut out the single coil bridge pickup out of the wiring and set it aside. I grabbed 2 CTS 500K split shaft pots. I'd replace the volume pot and the number 2 tone pot with these. Then I'd install 2 470 ohm resistors on the hot lines of the 2 single coil pickups that were coming into the switch. This way the volume pot would be seen as a 250K pot by the 2 single coils. I moved both the neck and middle pickups to use the 250K tone pot at the top, and the humbucker would use the 500K pot that I had swapped in. The only components that I was still missing were the single coil black pickup covers and the black knobs for the volume and tone controls, but those would come in at the end of the project as I had already ordered them. So let's talk about the bridge. I ordered a Wilkinson hardtail bridge with a 2 1/16 string spacing and 10.5 millimeters bent steel saddles. It was less than $15, but usually Wilkinson products are actually pretty good. When I got the bridge, I took the saddles off and set them aside so I could easily drill the pilot holes for the 3 screws. Here's the first thing that I had an issue with on this bridge. It didn't come with mounting screws. I had purchased 2 of the same bridge, and I checked the other box to see if maybe it was just an anomaly with this one box, meaning they were missing. But no, both boxes did not have mounting screws. I've never purchased a fully loaded and complete bridge assembly that did not come with mounting screws. Of course, I regularly buy bridge plates for Tellys and other guitars that do not come with screws, but not a full bridge. Those are just components. Luckily, I had a small supply of the screws, or I would have had to order them and it would have stalled my project. When you're reinstalling these saddles, if you take them off, there are 2 different lengths of saddle screws and also 2 different lengths of the saddle height adjustment screws. The low E and G saddles will take the shorter length saddle screws because they're going to be adjusted so they're closer to the back of the bridge when you intonate the guitar. And then the low E and high E are the saddles that you install the shorter saddle height adjustment screws on. Here's the second thing that I didn't really like. The saddle adjustment screws that are shorter for the low E and high E, they're too short. I adjusted my string height to pretty much a normal level, and the screws fell out of the bottom of the saddles. I ended up having to cannibalize some other saddles I found and pulled the longer adjustment screws to install them in the Wilkinson saddles. Once I corrected the problems, it's a nice looking bridge and it functions the way it's supposed to. Installing the bridge was easy. After already installing the string ferrules, I inserted 3-inch long, 1/8 inch screws into the 4 middle string holes. For me, this really helps kind of be the first step in lining up the bridge properly. I usually install then strings as guides for the low E and high E positions and actually connect them to the tuners. But in this case, the bridge butted up against the pickguard and I could tell that it was pretty much aligned. So I went ahead and drilled the 3 pilot holes using a Vicks bit so the holes are perfectly centered then. I then waxed the threads of the 3 screws with beeswax and the screws went in, the bridge was perfectly installed and aligned. I drilled the pickguard screw holes and mounted the pickguard. So kind of just observations about outcomes on this. I have found that I love setting up a hardtail bridge on a Strat over a tremolo bridge. It takes a fraction of the time with a hardtail versus the tremolo. Setting up a tremolo version of the bridge takes so many tuning iterations, meaning you tune it, you come back and the low E string is out of tune again, so you keep on tuning it, just going through all 6 strings over and over again until you finally get them all kind of locked in where they're supposed to be. With the hardtail though, it's like 3 times, period. That's it. You start with, going through your first time, come back, do it once again, and by the 3rd time, you're pretty much done. So I set the string height and intonated the guitar. The last thing I did was set the pickup heights. Once I started kind of playing around with the guitar, I was totally surprised by the acoustic kind of slash resonant sound that came out of this guitar when, one, it wasn't plugged in, and then also when it was plugged in, it was just so warm. It has to be the bridge that's kind of contributing to this because it has more contact surface with the body, is my thinking. People may argue with that, but I don't know. That's something that Leo on his G&L guitars with the design of his new bridge on the Telecasters came up with bridges that had far more contact between the bridge and the actual body of the guitar. So plugged in, the Player 2 single coils sound excellent. I mean, more so than when they were in a Player 2 guitar. And so does the bridge Seymour Duncan humbucker in this, but that's kind of a given. Also, the guitar only weighs 7 pounds and 6 ounces or 3.350 kilos. I mean, that's like, wow. That is an optimum weight for me with a Stratocaster. I finally got in the remaining black parts and swapped them out on the guitar to complete the look. I'm very happy with how this project has turned out, both from an aesthetic perspective and in how the guitar plays and sounds. I know I say this, people say, you say that about every guitar, that it's a keeper. Well, I actually built this guitar for me. I mean, it was kind of an afterthought that I actually decided to kind of film it for the channel and put it out. But this is kind of my guitar and one that I plan on keeping. And to be honest with you, I think right now it's probably one of my favorite Stratocasters that I own.